Hello. So I'm here with Liz Van Hee. I've met, hi Liz. I met Liz quite a while ago now, a few years ago at movement medicine workshop, the Phoenix workshop, in fact, the retreat. And we connected from a distance, let's say. And then that distance was bridged with the years, and we've become quite close. We've done the apprenticeship together, and that was an amazing journey of uncovering and discovery for the two of us. And we've been keeping in touch. And I've always felt really inspired by Liz's work as an artist and her connection with elements in particular and with earth. I love how the dedication she has to her work. And in terms of her, this interview, I'm interviewing her because she's just released the most magnificent book called Journeys to the Chemical Element. And it's a collaboration between her as an illustrator and Dr. Eleanor Johnson, who's a chemistry teacher who teaches science in Devon. And Eleanor Johnson wrote all the different descriptive and shamanic kind of journeying with the elements in the book. And Liz illustrated each element beautifully. And I'll show some of the pictures later, but right now I'll just read a little brief introduction of Liz that's in the book. So Liz Van Hee is a Belgian artist. She's currently living and working in Dartmoor in the UK. She brings together different art disciplines into a practice dedicated to the world of embodied soul. Her fascinating body of creative work vibrates with simplicity, authenticity, and clarity. Liz's visual work is a reflection of her own ongoing journey in aligning the body, heart, mind. So, Liz, first of all, would you please tell us what this book is about?
Hi, yes, hi Sophie. First of all, I would like to say thank you. Thank you to you for inviting me here to have a conversation about the book, and thank you for our journey so far together. It is very inspiring, so yeah, I wanted to bring this. Yes, the book. Well, yeah, I also want to thank, before I start to talk about the book, I want to thank Ellie, Dr. Eleanor, because she invited me to participate or to collaborate in this book. So yes, it's yeah, good to name this. And so the book, what to start with? Yeah, so when Ellie invited me, I immediately felt a big yes when she shortly said I've done this kind of journeys with the elements of the periodic table. I was like, wow, this is very interesting, a very interesting approach, because for me, chemistry as a subject when I was in school was rather difficult to enter, let's say. I remember listening to being in the class and listening to the teacher. I was like, what is he talking about? It's specifically the periodic table. It didn't really, there was no door or gateway in which I could understand what he was talking about. So when she came with this invitation to join, I was like, yeah, oh yeah, I wanna really try this. So the book is what she did. She did. So she connected with the essence quality of every element, and just interviewed them, almost like asked questions, presented herself, and yeah, listened to what they had to tell her and how they showed up. So in that way, she was bridging from her vision of her like she felt very. So she has a path as a chemist. So she's a doctor in chemistry, and then she has the more shamanic path. And she always missed the connection between the two while she was studying, and even when she's working now. So that was her thing, to bring those things together. And then when she invited me, she wanted to bring another layer of art, another layer of discipline, which was then the visual art. And that's how the book came into being. So she had her journey with the journeys, and then I had my journey with the journeys, because I had also. She gave me the stories, and what I mostly did was just reading them very quickly and pick a few words, and then leave them, and then do my own journey with them, just like the way I connected with them. I presented myself, explaining what I wanted to do, what my intention was, and
So you introduced yourself.
Yes, definitely, because I could. Say again, sorry.
Spoke to the element.
Yes. Because immediately I felt this kind of it's life, and it's life, and it's they are alive. It's as much as I am alive. So I think it's a good idea for me, anyway, to present myself to alive beings, and just share what my intention was. And from the beginning, very easily, very quickly, well, some of them were more, some of them were less open almost, or more difficult for me to approach, but some, it's like a world that went open quite quickly. And so then I just presented myself, and because movement is a big part of my art practice, so what I do mostly is just like receiving, like a kind of the listening, but not in words, more in a physical sensation, and then I moved with it, and then I come back, and then when I'm in that kind of space, I just give it back to the paper. So that's how it started, and it went quite very inspiring and quite smooth, actually, the illustrating. There were a few that took some time, but most of them came quite like spontaneous, and like So I think your question was,
you answered, how did the project, well, I wanted you to introduce the book.
Yeah.
But you also answered another question that I had, which is great. How did the project come about? And I guess I was wondering, how did Ellie, Dr. Johnson, find out about you? How did she come across you?
Okay, yes. So we both have a child, and at the time we met, they were both in a forest school here in Devon. A lot of outdoor learning, and we did lift sharing, and we started to talk, and then I had an exhibition, and she came to the exhibition, and she saw my work, and she was very inspired, and she really loves the way I translate vibrations and into my language, my visual language. And then we had like conversations along the way where we shared about, where you get to know each other, and we just get on really well. And we both are very different, but we have like a kind of, when we come together, it's just very inspiring. And especially with this project. And the first time she talked about it, it was because I said, yes, I'm away next week because I'm going to dance. And then she says, oh yeah, in a month I'm away because I'm going to my shamanic training. And then she started to talk about what she was doing. And then, so it's like this kind of, different layers how we met each other. And I immediately, when she shared her work, I was immediately like, wow, this is so fascinating. But she had another artist in mind to do the illustrations, who was also part of her course. So I was like, whoa, I'm looking forward to see this. But then the other artist, and it didn't happen. And then after my exhibition, she asked me, and that's when, And I immediately felt such a big yes that I was like, oh, I would love to do this. So, and then it happened, and so that's how we met, through our children, actually.
Lovely. Yeah, I'm going to show a little bit some of the illustrations in the book, because they're so, I don't know if it'll show very well, but I'm just push
A bit higher.
So that's one of them. That's sodium.
Yes.
I love sodium.
That was the first one I did, actually.
Was it? Okay. I was wondering about the order, actually, because it's, I wonder if there is an order. That's copper. Beautiful. Different colors. So as you can see, and also I want to say that when I received the book, I was really, I love the feel of it, the texture, because it's beautiful recycled paper, really beautiful quality, and all the prints is done with water-based inks.
Plant-based ink.
Plant-based.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And it really shows, you don't have that kind of shocking chemical smell that you get when you open a magazine. It's so beautiful. It's like, it feels earthy and it smells earthy, which it should, since it's about chemical elements. That is beautiful as well. That's carbon, the famous carbon that a lot of people talk about right now. It's very much in fashion. I love tin as well. Tin is a beauty. An interesting thing is that at the end of the book, you get all of the pictures of Lisa's work, Lisa's art, with the elements. So you can actually see the full picture, because you see a part of the picture for each element, but there you can see the full picture. And I can imagine them as full-blown prints. They're just stunning work. I love silicone as well. Silicone is this one there.
Yes, I love making that one. Some of them were such a delight to make, and some of them were really like, if you look at Uranium was, some of them are just really heavy. That's the quality of some of the, it's just all very different flavors of quality. And like, and for instance, chlorine, I have quite a story with chlorine, actually.
Well, I was actually going to come to that. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about your connection with the elements. And you mentioned vibrations, and I'm very interested in that as well. What do you mean by vibrations? Our viewers might be wondering what that, how do you, what is that?
It's like when when I started the project, I also had like the more typical periodic table that Mendeleev made, the chemist, long time ago. And that's the way I started, just to like also be respectful to the lineages who have been, to people who have been discovering and working. And but once I was like through that layer, it's just like it's, so in the book they are separated as elements, but when it's like it's like a world beyond the world, which is the world, but it felt like this kind of vast kind of yeah, moving, constantly moving and responding, reacting, a very communicative, like yeah, world of life. And it's the, it's kind of, when you go into that kind of world, it's very ancient. It's so ancient, you go immediately like into this kind of ancient field, but yet it's very contemporary because it's here and now, and it's very much like future. So it's this kind of eternity quality of this, of all this
Beautiful.
different components of existence. I don't know, it's like building blocks of existence almost.
That's beautiful, because it really also speaks to something I noticed in the illustrations, and I mentioned it to you, that to me, a lot of the images look like as if there are representations of cells, cellular life, and bring us back to the origins before human beings were on Earth. And there's also, to me, a lot of tissues, a lot of filaments in your drawing, in your painting. And I'm just wondering about that. How do you relate to that kind of embryonic shape and ovular and cell-like shapes? Is that something conscious, or is that?
When I work, I don't think too much, I even like visually, I try to let go of I mean, it's like you can imagine things, or I can imagine things and have a very clear vision of something, and then make an artwork of it. But the way I work is like more sensing it, and then and then it comes back, and then it comes back the way it comes back. And there was a lot of detail, and a lot of like what you call the cells, and it's also to express movement, I think, because it's so what I do is I make a moment in time. I freeze a moment in time of an image that actually is always moving. So that's the way I try to do it, and I think maybe that's what you're picking up on. It's like that kind of
Fluidity.
Moving, and it's moving this way, but it's also moving that way, and you have these separate things, but they are all in one movement. They are all in one conversation almost. I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does, yes. And that's the other thing I noticed as well. I did notice the movement, and I noticed the fluidity as well in in each of the, and an airy quality as well, the spaciousness. It's as if they're suspended in air or suspended in fluid. There's a kind of a container, and like a conversation between the context and the detail.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. like that's also what I experienced. It's like, you know, for me, like before I started, I was thinking like of the elements, these chemical elements. You know, we've also learned this visually, that they are all in boxes next to each other. And you know, and it's not, that's not how I experienced it. It's like a one big soup almost, you know, and some of them respond with someone, I mean, there's so many reactions, and I don't know anything about chemistry. You know, so I don't, but you know, when I was in there, you can, it's very alive, and it's very detailed, and at the same time it's very expensive. That's what I experienced, you know. It's a kind of, it's like, yeah, I don't know, I had this idea that it was all very small before I started, but it's from small to big, and you know, that's, yeah.
You had a very, it sounds like you had a very embodied relationship with, and spiritual, would you say? Relationship with the elements.
Yes. Yes, it was. It's also the way I approach, you know, I present my, I think, I don't know, please. Yeah, it's, yeah, it's less complicated than I thought, and yet it's very complex. It's very complex, and there's a lot going on. But if I don't, it's not, if I don't try to work it out, and just, it's like this kind of, yeah. Yeah, I lost a bit what I was saying.
It's okay.
I was just the images. Oh yeah, and the playful. Yeah, it's, I also, yes, there's a kind of a playfulness about it. You know, it's, and I think it's also because of the intention of the book. Because I mean, as a whole, the book has been created with different layers of intention, and one of the things is that we really wanted to open another door into this world, which can reach more people, more children, more also adults, you know, because yeah, a different door to something that might for some people be like very far away from their lives, you know. But this is more a kind of a playful approach, and yeah, of something very profound actually. But there's a lightness about it that we wanted to bring in, and yeah, to kind of not break, but like make a different way, also for children and young people in schools. It's already used, Ellie has already used it in schools to, yeah, to spark creativity in chemistry, because it can be quite, in the experience of young people, quite far away from their lives. But you know, if we learn how, yeah, if we learn a different approach, it doesn't have to be like far away. It can be very much in your life in a very contemporary way, in a language that maybe more people can understand, or different people can understand, or
Yeah. And my experience as well is similar to yours in terms of chemistry. And this book really brings them to life. And there's a beautiful aliveness, and there are stories. Each element has a story,
yeah.
and illustrations as well. So it's like a almost, you know, what children would read, like a fairy tale kind of thing.
Sorry, say again.
Like a fairy tale
Yes.
in a way. And I just wanted to read maybe from one of the elements, because they speak to the child, the inner child, but they also speak for me, the activist, because there's very much, there are some notes there around raising awareness about our ecological collapse. And so I'm just going to read it, and then you can add to it if you wish, Liz. So I'm reading. Huh?
Who are you gonna read?
I'm going to read 10.
Cool.
Yeah. The journey to find Tin begins at a white stone archway. A dynamic, rushing river flows through it, leading into an underground tunnel. Riding these rapids leads to a network of rocky tunnels, aquifers, and waterfalls. Rushing down, twisting and turning, the aerated, frothy water comes to rest in a dappled, mossy cave. The water opens into a large pond full of water lilies and water life. Tin revels living here and fully expresses himself, riding on a white horse, then flying to the heights of the cave on huge white wings. Here, he acts as a bridge between the spirit and human worlds. Being inherently connected to water, Tin tells how he brought water to Earth. He undertook this task with the greatest care, encasing it in huge ellipsoid rocky shells. He brought water across space. Tin says how some of us treat our bodies and implores, imagine your bodies are vessels transporting something very precious. How would you treat them then? Being heavily mined for the electronics industry, Tin has a short but powerful message. The Earth has worked tirelessly to create ores and minerals in the ground. You have taken enough now. It's time to stop. Earth metals are underground for reasons you don't fully understand yet. There is a delicate balance in place for the stability of the Earth, which humanity has been disrupting for too long. Tin's sentiment is clear. We need to start working with nature, not against it, to create a truly sustainable future. How did you connect with Tin and with these intentions about ecological, raising awareness about what's happening, in the world right now, planet Earth?
So first of all, so when I started the illustrating, I didn't go in this. I mean, in the activism part, because I felt my place at that point in the project was to really try and experiment, actually, because it's an experiment. I want to be really clear on that. It's an experiment and some kind of creative approach of maybe embodied imagination, but also in the conversation. But I didn't go into the activism part, although with some of them it came immediately. It was before I could enter or could communicate. There was a message also for me. And I also have to say, Ellie did the writing. So I think she went more in that part and I went more in the essence part to just give like this kind of visual translation. And it wasn't with tin, it was with chlorine, because that was the first chemical weapon used, and it was used on the lands where I grew up, where my ancestors grew up. It was used like only 10 kilometers away from where I used to live as a child. And when I connected with chlorine, yes, I had this huge grief coming up, sadness about. It was such a beautiful quality of such a beautiful quality, and then that other part, grief, how it's been used and how it's used. That was very strong for me, and also because my connection with the land where it was used the first time, and I've been always very interested in the wars because it's very much part of all of us, but because I grew up in that region. So yes, it sometimes was very clear that there was a lot, that there is a lot of abuse or abuse, misuse, unconscious, as we know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yet the color of chlorine, to me, is so light, so beautiful, so attractive.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you could talk to us about your use of color. Why these colors?
Again, let me think about this. The color, why? Yeah, well, so when Ellie did the journey, she had some sense of colors that she brought in and that she gave to me as like, I would like to have that color and that color. And I tried to work like this. And then all of a sudden I felt like, oh, I need to let go of this. So we had a few conversations about this, because I felt I needed more freedom in the colors. And it's not a very, it's not that I was thinking, oh, chlorine, I'm gonna, it is not a lot of thinking involved. It's just like, okay, connect and then just start and like, okay, this is what I'm gonna use. Okay. It's more like an intuitive process of unfolding again. Yeah.
It's just wonderful to hear you talk about it, I guess. Because for a lot of people who are not artists, that visual process of coming from really deep within and from the imagination as well may not be as, easy to relate. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about it and how.
Some of them are like very clear, like when some of them are really bright and some of them are really dark. So, and then within the brightness and the darkness, there's loads of shades and different colors that can be used and that can speak and can be combined also.
So which one did you connect the most or the best with? Which elements?
I know for me, I'm going to say it the other way around. The first in the book was the last I completed because it didn't land, the helium.
Helium.
Yes, the two of them. And then the other ones,
Literally didn't.
there's not really like most of them went really easily. Like, what element did your question was, what did I connect the most with? Oh yeah, silver. That was silver and all of them actually. Iodine was also very profound journey with iodine for me.
It actually shows one of the ones that I've connected with the most as well from your paintings was silver. You can actually it stands out.
Yes.
In my view, in my experience, it's really interesting that it's the one you connected the most with. And can you tell me a little bit why? A bit more? Why silver? If you.
Yeah, well, it's like while I was making it, it was just a lot of fun. They were all a lot of fun, but silver was specifically like, and I remember Anwar was with me also. So mostly when I work, I'm not, but that day I was working in my studio and then I remember it was a lovely day and I just took my paper outside and he was with me and he was like, I was trying new things. I was trying a new technique also with silver and he was just, witnessing like how fascinating it was to see, the paint, to see it happening, and slightly guiding and slightly letting go and slightly guiding and slightly letting go. It was, yeah.
What was the new technique? Do you want to talk about it? Sounds interesting. Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it was. I used silver paint out of a pen, and then but yeah, when I yeah, that's silver. Oh God, oh, yeah.
Such a beauty.
Yeah, just spoke easily to me, easily to translate. And the technique I used was just with a lot of water and that paint. And then it started to like, yeah, because it's a bit oily, that paint, it started to just like a bit like run around on the paper. And then I slightly guided it. And it was just like that kind of delicate balance of like, letting it be and go like it goes, and then take a little bit of guidance in it, and then go back. And it's this delicate conversation about where to give it just the space how it wants to go on the paper, and then where to just come in and guide a little bit. So that's, yeah, silver was yeah.
And what about the ones that you did not connect so much? Like you mentioned uranium earlier. What was it about them that you felt was a little bit difficult?
Just not so open to connect.
Okay.
And very yeah. Also, when you read the Ellie's journey with uranium, yeah, a bit denser of energy and less like, yeah, like we have humans who are more inside themselves, more introverted and less like, yay, let's play, because like tin and copper, and yeah, it's just like woo. But then some of them are way more like inside, quiet, like holding this kind of more darker quality of like more, yeah, less accessible, which translates in a less, accessible painting.
Sure. And can you tell me a little bit about what you learned during the project? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about the artistic process and the collaboration? Is it your first collaboration?
I've done collaborations with people, but this is like, yeah, I've done different, more smaller ones. So maybe first talk about the collaboration. Yeah, it's amazing to work together with especially with somebody who comes from science and then has the bridge with spirituality, and then I come from art and the bridge, and then meet each other like in this kind. It's amazing. I'm still learning so much on so many levels with this project, because we have the book now, but we have other things we want to bring out of this project, but with COVID we had to like wait a bit. So yeah, on that level it's like when you bring two vision, well, it's actually Ellie's vision and she invited me, but very quickly it became more like and she also named it like this, like this kind of collaboration, instead of I stepping into her vision. It's her dream, but there was so much like how do you say
Overlapping.
yeah, overlapping, that it just became very equal, and we had a lot of interesting conversations which brought a whole nother level of depth into the project. So yeah, I just loved it. I love it. I love everything about it. When two people meet to make something, it's just amazing, and actually another person came in, the graphic designer, who has done a really good job, because as an artist, I make the paintings, and then, I don't know what's going to happen. But I think he did an amazing job with the design of, and giving the images quite a lot of space, because very often in books, the written part has more space. Illustration is more like in the function of the written word, and now I have a feeling that there is quite a balance between the words and the image, which is, for me, I love that. I love that. I miss that. I miss books like this. I've missed books like this my whole life, which have more balance between words and visual and space. I also have a lot of feeling of a lot of space in this book.
Absolutely. And the format is beautiful.
Yeah. So, and what I've learned about myself, yeah, a lot. Trust when I stepped into this project. It's kind of, people ask me like, how do you know how this looks, and how do you know how? I didn't know myself. It's just like a surrender. It's like and then like learning like this kind of ritual, almost like of opening that space, inviting that space, presenting myself, being really clear with the intention, really communicating with the elements. And it's kind of funny now, sometimes I have this kind of dreams or visions where I can see them like woo woo woo. It's like I call them, and then I say to Ellie, I call them that, oh, they have a party again. So this kind of, that's probably my imagination. Well, that is my imagination, but it's like this kind of, there's a lot of joy. I've learned that this brings me a lot of joy, to work this way, to work with those qualities, those essence qualities. And
if I may just say something there about the joy, because it's beautiful to hear that, and the party, because me and my relationship with the world at the moment, it feels like there's so much pain. It's beautiful to hear you talking about the joy of the elements and of life.
I was quite like, wow. That's also what I said, like, okay, the activist part of the book, and like we know like how urgent everything is, and how we are witnessing and kind of collapsing of systems that are not respectful and dignifying for life. But when you go under that, that's human, that's all very human. But when you reach in a kind of a world beyond or next or whatever, where everywhere, that's like it's different. Maybe it's even not, joy. It brings me joy, and it's like this kind of, because it's, when you witness it, it's like or when you're part of it, it's like the realization that it's magical. This is magical. This is just it's life, but it's like, whoa, how is this like possible that all these little things make this everything? It's kind of wow. It's kind of, there's not really words for it. It's just stunning to be part of this, and that brings me joy. That brings me joy and celebration. And then when you bring it back to the human world, where we have so much pain going on, and obviously in the other worlds, but mostly by humans, or it's like, how did we lose our place so profoundly? How did we like forget about this sacredness, this quiet whisper that connects it all, like, which is very present in this, for me, in this journey, has been very present, this kind of sacred quiet whisper that's just holding everything together without holding. That's a weird thing. So it's, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And it's quiet, but yet you're saying it's joyful and party as well. It's quite dynamic as well.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful. Thank you. It's beautiful. And what did you learn about your creative process, if you learned anything there?
Yes, again, like for me, like the way I work, it's almost like it strengthens my creative process in the way that is, so it's a conversation, it's a letting go, and it's a giving back. It's a letting go, a landing in the body, and then give it, like a kind of giving it back to just like the paper or the canvas, or so. Yeah, I think, and having this kind of
Circular.
movement going on, and I notice in my other work now, I work on other projects, and it's always the same process with a different flavor or a different depends on what I'm asked to do, or what I do, or I choose to do, but in essence it's my it made it very clear, like it's a connecting, an intention, a gratitude, and then like a kind of receiving it through the body without the words, letting go of the words, and then it comes back to the paper.
Okay. We can really see the movement and that circularity as you're gesturing. It's beautiful. And I'm not surprised that there's so many circles in your work, because there is that relationship with the loop, the circle of life.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Go on.
No, but that's actually a bit more like the other question. It's like the going in, going out, going in, going out. It's in all directions, like kind of zoop and zoop. And
Sure.
easy to show with my hands.
Lovely. Yeah. The reciprocity as well. Yeah. The conversation. Beautiful. Is there a particular was there any thought around the order in the book? Why this particular order, or is it just random?
Excuse me. Yes, but I think that's more a question for Ellie.
Sure. I hear you.
If you look at Platinum, the last one,
yeah,
all ideas and thought disappear here as everything is done. So yeah, I can't answer that question very clearly.
No problem. This is Platinum.
Because that's Platinum. Because the way I didn't work in it. She gave them to me in an order, but I just
sure
tuned in what spoke to me the most in the moment, and that's what how I work. It seems a bit chaotic, but
that's the creative process, isn't it?
Phew.
So just to wrap up, is there anything you want to add about the maybe talk a little bit? You were saying that the current epidemic has had an impact on your future projects. If you want to tell us a little bit about those, what did you have? What were you going to do that you may do in the future?
Yeah, would love to do.
Planning
to do. Yeah. So yeah, the book came out amidst pandemic. I think in May it was printed, and we had to wait a bit longer, and there were a bit problems because there were not that many people working. So we were quite, it had an impact on us on the book. Also the process for both of us, it was right in the middle of the George Floyd murder and the Black Lives Matter, and then the whole pandemic, and this book, we both feel like this book is really a celebration of life, and we felt like, how can we just bring this in now, because the world is so much in grief, or that's what we like. So yeah, but then yeah, we sat with it, and we both knew like it's kind of important that we keep on going with this and we bring it out, because we were thinking maybe we should wait a bit, but then we didn't know how long the pandemic would last, and so we decided to go on. But we had to cancel our first exhibition we had planned here locally, and that was in June. That would have been in June normally. So we had to cancel and we also had to cancel an exhibition in a school, which was in April. Yeah, and schools were closed because Ellie wanted to use it in schools, but now schools are open again, and yeah, we'll see. Well, it's all a bit chaos, so we will see how these new projects land. But yeah, we are planning on an exhibition, and I would love. Well, I'm taking more on the exhibition and the creative part of this project. I would love to, actually, my dream is to make a traveling exhibition, so we can travel to schools, to different schools, and even other public places, to bring it really into community, to really bring it into to our lives in a different way, and as a celebration of life, and also as a reconnection to the sacredness that we know when we use resources, that the beings are alive, and that they at least deserve to be thanked, to be respected, and to be seen as who they are, and not just, something we use to make another phone and another one and another one, and throw away this and throw away this. No, this is life. We have life in our hands, and at the least we can do is be grateful. And it's not enough, but for me. But yeah, that's one of the things we want to do. Yeah.
Lovely.
There's a few other ideas in dreaming, but we don't know now, because we just have to wait a little bit. And we are also looking for funds to be able to create an exhibition, and like a good quality exhibition that can travel and even go. Now we are mostly in UK, but we would like to bring it to different countries, and we've also been asked already in a few places, also for translations, and these are all the things that we're now looking at.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about where to buy the book, since you need funds?
Yes. I
will add it in the notes below the recording, but yeah.
We have an Etsy shop at the moment. Maybe if you could add the link, that would be great.
Sure.
It's called The Chemistry Journeys. We also have posters now for sale, posters and postcards, and we have a Facebook page you can find us, and we are working on a website. That's another thing, but also for that we need funds to be able to create a website.
And the Facebook page is, what's the name of it?
I think it's Chemistry Journeys.
Okay.
Journeys. Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Lovely. Thank you.
Journeys to the Chemical Elements.
Yeah. So I highly recommend the book, and I hope that as many schools as possible use it, because it's wonderful for children to be able to relate and have a conversation with something, like you say, that's alive. And I said earlier about how there was no smell coming out of, or just a very earthy smell coming out of this book, compared to magazines where the chemical smell comes up. And it's interesting how we relate to chemicals, or I do, as well, as something toxic.
Yes.
But when I read the book and I looked at the paintings, the illustrations, and read, they became alive. And in that, and the toxicity is mentioned in some of them as well by Ellie, but there was a sense of, yes, I'm alive, I may harm you, so just like wild plants, respect me.
Yeah.
Learn to know me first in my aliveness, and respect me. And it's a completely different relationship, you know, when you're doing that. So thank you, and thank you, Ellie, for this great project, great idea. Yeah, so thank you for your time. Anything you want to add, Ellie, Liz?
Mm. Yeah. There's something I want to add. I want to thank you. But I also, I want to thank the elements again. And I just hope, that is my hope, or, that we just can remember that everything is connected, and that we are connected, that we are one. We are one. It's not a kind of out there realization. It's a very daily. It's like this. We are connected, and the way we treat our resources, and it's very important, and there's a lot of reconnecting needed in this, and I hope this book can somehow, somewhere, add to this or help with this. And if not, I hope people can just enjoy it as it is. It doesn't have to be deep, but we hope that it's lighting up some possibility to reconnecting to the sacredness of life, to the sacredness of life, and our place as humans, whatever that might be, our place as humans, and being humble, because that's what I felt a lot of the time when I was working on this project. Wow, it's like, okay, I'm a little tiny spark in a very vast ocean of time. So yeah.
Beautiful. Reverence comes to mind, huh? Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for your time, Liz.
Thank you, Sophie.
And respect.
Yes, same. Let's make this happen.
Yes.